Live, and this is the Brady Bunch. No, it's not. Sorry, it's Cloudways Mavericks. I just looked at the screen. It really reminded me of the Brady Bunch, which I think is how all of us are communicating today, at least here in the UK. For me and Nicole, we are absolutely baking hot because it's above room temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know in the comments, how hot is it where you are? You can do that through emojis, through GIFs, or through text. We want to know. If you are watching the replay at any point, please let us know. Just tap in the words replay, and we'd love to know what you got out of this episode. Before we carry on, I'd just like to set the scene for you. And that is quite simply this. How do you, as an agency owner, attract your dream client? Today, we're going to learn from a really, really good friend of mine. It's Nicole, who is a multiple-time podcast guest as well. Quick shout out to her recent episode, 320. That's agencytrailblaze.com/320. She specializes in helping agencies all around the world attract their dream clients through social media and multiple other channels. Today, we will be focusing on social media, so we're really honored to have you. What we're going to do before we let you rip is do the round robin of the room and introduce each person. So Nicole, as you are our guest, give us a quick intro.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm dialing in from hot London today. I'm a social media and marketing coach for digital agencies, and I'm very hot today.
Jan, how about yourself?
Hey, I'm Jan. I'm the owner of Virtual Summit Mastery, and I am from Germany, and it's also super hot, like 29 degrees Celsius, something like that. So,
that sounds hot.
Yeah.
Peacher.
Hi, I'm Pete Janeri. I am the host of the Design for Conversions conference and now also podcast to be launched soon. I am Italian, I live in Spain, and I never complain about the heat.
What she missed is she's also a Londoner.
I am also a Londoner, but it always made me laugh so much. In London, there were two modes. And I think in the UK in general, it was either, oh God, bloody weather, it's raining, it's awful, or I'm baking, I'm dying. There was never anything in between. It was hilarious. And it still is. Brilliant.
And I'm Lee. I'm baking and I'm dying. I host the Agency Trailblazer podcast. And without further ado, Nicole, if you want to share your screen, let's jump into this. Folks, whilst Nicole presents, please feel free to ask a question. We will make sure that we get that asked during this live stream.
Absolutely. I really love a lot of questions just to make it really valuable for everyone in the community, whether it's live or replay. We are all here to help. So without me now breaking StreamYard. I haven't broken it yet. Excellent.
Nope.
Excellent slideshow. Here we go. Ha! Guys, thank you so much for having me today. I am super, super, super excited to talk to you about how to get noticed by your dream clients on social media. I know you already had an awesome session with a fabulous Tracy Bernard talking about LinkedIn, which is amazing. And you're also going to have another session in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. So hopefully by the end of it, your community is going to be so well equipped with social media tips that everyone can shine on social media and get more of their dream clients. Are you ready for this? I am. I'm going to hit the
I'm ready
button
for this. I'm hyped.
So while you're all hyped, I'm going to bring you all down because I know often people have so many objections when it comes to using social media to promote their business. And I've just listed 3 of them here. Often we say we are so busy with client work, I can't possibly make time for my social media. I tried it before, it didn't work. I'm really sick of all the time it takes compared to the efforts and the return I get. And I really have no idea what to post. So I hope you don't look like this gentleman right now when you are thinking of your social media. Let us know in the comments. But I'm going to help you with most of these points today. And together with the other 2 sessions, you should have a really total solution about what to do on your social media to really excel. But before we get started with all the good stuff, and I hope it's a lot of good stuff, I just want to tell you a little bit of a story. And you will notice that a lot today is centered around storytelling, because what a way to make yourself more memorable and more visible. And this is a story which is backed by popular demand. So bear with me. Now, when I grew up, I know I said earlier, I live nowadays in London. I've lived here actually now for 25 years. But when I grew up, I was in former Eastern Germany. And as you may be able to tell from this picture, I was always quite tall. I had a lot of blonde curly hair.
So cute. Oh.
And this is how I started my first day at school. And I'm sure fellow German Jan will have a similar picture of him
Yep,
holding a
share
shooty dick. Please do.
Get that picture, Jan. Come on, man.
Because, us Germans here on Cloudways, we have to stick together. So this is when I was 7 years old. Now, can I tell you something? So I grew up behind the Iron Curtains, but I was lucky because we always had all the Western channels, so all the Western TV. So whilst I couldn't buy all the good stuff like bananas, Nutella, fancy cars, I could watch it all on television. And there was someone who really inspired me, so much so that then I was a teenager, I modeled my hairstyle on him. This is where it gets a bit embarrassing. So as you can see, I totally used to model my hair like David Hasselhoff, with short sides, the long back, also affectionately known as the mullet. Jan, did you ever have a mullet?
Actually, not sure you've changed other than your hairdo.
Thanks. I'm about 10 kilos lighter, Lee. Thank you very much. So Jan just said yes, he's had a mullet. Anyone else?
Of
Lee,
course,
when you had
I still do. I just hide it nowadays.
You hide it so well. So
I had a mullet. I had a little, the little tail, the sort of rat's tail in the back.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Peter, we want to see a picture of that too.
We've all done it.
So how did David Hasselhoff to get me to wear my hair like him? Well, he really did his marketing so well. Even at the time then, there wasn't any social media. You might think, gosh, Nicole, that's a really crazy comparison. But bear with me with the story. I'm gonna talk you through it. So I grew up in this country where, I really wanted to go traveling abroad. I wanted to have a fancy car. And there was David Hasselhoff with a Knight Rider. The car talked, it was singing, it was dancing. And he was on some really famous beaches in Baywatch. So this is how I remember him. And my reality at the time, you see that blue car, that was the Trabant. So the Trabant is a car made of paper mache. Jan will probably know it. It's probably in a local museum. Our car was like 20 years old. And on the right-hand side, you see me with beautiful red hair with my mum in Prague. Lovely, lovely city. And if you haven't been, when you get an opportunity and when we can travel, I recommend you go. But the problem was I had been there about 9 times by the time I turned 14 because we weren't allowed to travel anywhere. So you can see David Hasselhoff, he showed us all the fancy cars. He showed us all the fancy beaches. So we absolutely adored him in Eastern Germany. So much so, this is my final slide on David Hasselhoff. Thank you for bearing with me. So much so when the wall came down in 1989, a really big moment, we brought him back to sing on the Brandenburg tour. And this was a place where only a few months earlier, people would have been killed trying to go from Eastern Germany to Western Germany. So a huge moment in our history. So today, bringing it back to today's talk, I'm going to show you how you can turn your presence on social media from a Trabant, a bit sort of mare, to a really fancy sports car. Are you with me?
Wow, this is awesome.
Jan, did you see?
We are indeed. That is amazing. I love that clip.
Jan, did you see David Hasselhoff singing? It's okay to admit it.
Of course.
We are not going to break out into singing now. Excellent. Okay. How can you stand out on social? How can you show really what makes you different and that your agency, you yourself as the web designer, the freelancer, you are the best choice? And I know often on social media, we like to talk about the tech tools, whether you should be using Agorapulse, whether you should be using Hootsuite, whether you should schedule and sign off your posts in ClickUp or another fancy system. But actually, essentially, to really be successful on social media and to stand out from the competition, you've got to show what makes you different. So today, I'm going to give you the tools for showing you how you can let your audience know, your dream clients, that you are the best choice, the kind of dream clients where you love working with them and they pay you worth. So we're going to briefly make a business case for personal branding. I know no one ever wakes up wanting to do that personal branding. I know I'm not expecting you to, but I'm going to give you some really good, solid reasons why it's totally worth doing that as an agency owner. Then I'm going to inspire you a bit more with some cool agency owner examples who are absolute rock stars at personal branding. And there might be some familiar faces. I'm not going to say any more at this stage. A fabulous way of getting your personal branding kickstarted, because I know it's a really big term, is actually looking at your anti-versions. So we're going to have some fun with that. Then I'm going to help you to really define your own best stories. A bit like the story I just told you about David Hasselhoff. That is back today about popular demand. Someone messaged me on Facebook. I'm doing a talk next week for Corey Dodds in this group. And she said, please, can you bring your David Hasselhoff cutout? We love him so much. So stories are memorable. And in the final bit, because I want to make sure that you have lots of content ideas you can implement straight away to help you engage and sell to your dream clients. I'm going to give you some freebies and some really cool ideas. Here we go. So we are now starting. Are you guys ready? I need to hear some verbal feedback here. Have you got any questions so far?
I'm just going to keep unmuted.
Lovely. Oh yeah, be warned, Lee. This is going to be highly interactive.
Do it.
Now, marketing classic and communications, it's the same when you build websites for your clients. People do business with people. And it's actually with people who they know, like, and trust. And your job on social media is to build that trust over time with your dream clients. So how do you do that? Well, just about building trust, a little bit brief introduction here to myself. I know I love David Hasselhoff, but I do actually have some really cool credentials. So started working in marketing at the Financial Times 20 years ago. I realized how much I love working with smaller, fast-moving companies. So I set up my own business about 5 years ago. I helped Mighty Tech become Europe's fastest-growing ad tech company. You probably recognize Lee on there, because I have to say Lee has been absolutely instrumental for me specializing to work with digital agencies. Because when I spoke at his amazing agency transformation live event the first time around, it made me realize how much I've already actually worked with digital agencies over the years, because as a marketing director, I would continuously look for agencies anything between $500 to $50,000. So I have lots and lots and lots of tips for you for how you can stand out to your clients by just being more yourself. Also great supporter of WordFest, GoWP, obviously Agency Transformation Podcast have been on that 3 times. And your other Maverick, we got obviously Brent Beaver, amazing guy. He interviewed me about how to market to agencies. And finally, I'm a chartered marketeer, but I try not to be boring. Okay, so that's just the introduction to me. I want to make sure I give you
the chartered marketer logo is pretty boring as well, actually.
Oh my God, it is, right? And they made such a big deal out of launching it. Like, I've been a chartered marketeer for 15 years, and that's what I get.
It looks like the thing you could sew on for a Scout member or something.
But Lee, you say that. I've recently been voted as one of the most inspirational marketeers for 2021 by Market Ally. And their logo is so... but I didn't even put it on here, so it's all in the logo, right? And obviously some people have beautiful logos, and all the beautiful logos are on here. Thank you. So first bit of this talk is really making a business case. Why does it make sense to you, and why should personal branding actually matter? I'm not going to talk to you too much about the tactics, but just on a strategic level, when you look at marketing your agency, when you look at getting noticed amongst its competition, how do you get noticed? Because when you go to places like Clutch reviews for websites, if everyone sounds the same, how am I, as the marketeer and the corporate side in a smaller business, going to make a case to my boss, to my finance board, to my senior colleagues, say, hey, we've got to talk to this agency. They really know what they're doing. They would be really great to work with. So this is where personal branding comes in. So here are just some reasons. I could really talk about this a lot. So I only have 2 slides, I promise you.
I know that guy, by the way.
Very nice guy, Shane, based in South Africa. We had a personal branding session, really the loveliest guy. And I just love that photo because it's so distinct, right? Jan, you recognize it straight away. So when you got your personal brand, you really can stand out in a good way, because it allows you to show what makes you different, but it also allows you into leaning what makes you different. Maybe you are a bit geeky, I have a really weird German accent and actually no sense of humor. My personal branding, of course, I got a sense of humor. I can bring this out. I can be myself, because when you are the real you through having a consistent personal brand, your messaging becomes so much more memorable and so much more visible. And if you look around us, many digital agencies, many website agencies, essentially, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you guys offer a very similar service, right? So how can you really show off that you achieve a transformation your clients are looking for, that you will be fun to work with? Because unfortunately, every digital agency project, at some stage, it might be running late, or the decision makers are changing. You have got to show that you would be the perfect partner to work with. So my second case on here, I'm nearly there on this one. I won't bore you with business case. It's really, I hear this a lot, Nicole, I've been building websites for so long, but how am I actually going to be seen as the expert? How can I charge my worth and people just think all I do is building websites? And obviously building websites is amazing. And what a skill. I could never do this. But over time, you also become this consultant, this marketing consultant, this digital marketing consultants, because you know what makes people take actions online, what gets people to click on the shopping cart, what really makes the website as highly converting as possible. So with a personal brand, which also comes content marketing, you will be seen as the expert, which means you get noticed by the clients who you like to work with and who pay you well. Actually, most importantly, price becomes less of a deciding factor because you've already established yourself as the expert. Do you know, when it comes to the stage of a client getting several quotes in, you're kind of already on top of their list because you're so cool and they can see that you're so cool. And actually, one of the example agency owners I'll share with you in a moment has exactly said that. Also, sales become easier because when you have a personal brand, it's about story sharing. It's about what makes you different, why working with you is a certain way. So it isn't always like, why am I the best choice? It's not as cringeworthy. And as a result of all of these things, you're seen as the expert, you charge your worth, you generate more of the right high quality leads. And I particularly show here Imogen Allen, amazing lady. I know everyone knows her really, really well, but she's working on her personal brand to really show how she can help other agency owners finding their identity. And a personal brand is really a great starting point on that because it will make her messaging so much more powerful. So
can I just say that Imogen can't stop praising you and how great it's been to have you as her coach.
Thank you,
I think
Peter.
it's important to say that because it's when Nicole, what she tells me is that when Nicole guides you, it's really easy to put all this into practice for all those that are sort of listening and going, oh, this is too hard.
Oh, Peter, thank you so much. And do you know, in a way, this is what pure personal branding is about, because I show in my marketing that I'm fun to work with, because I know often doing your marketing and your personal branding as an agency owner, it's not exactly what you really want to do. You know you ought to. It's like on your to-do list, but no one wants to talk about themselves or, dig a bit deep about their story. So if I then come across as someone fun to do it with, and it's lots of things I experience myself in my own business building. So yeah, that means a lot to me. Imogen is absolutely adorable. Thank you, Peter. I really appreciate that. So to inspire you more, and I hope you're still at the stage where you're ready to be inspired, I've done this really cool vlog where I presented some great agency owner examples. And in the meantime, I've spoken to most of them as well. So I have a bit more of a thinking behind it. So here, without further ado, are some agency owners who really rock their personal brands. First of all, we've got the lovely Corey Dodds over from Australia.
He's gorgeous. Look at that.
Brilliant,
beard.
isn't he?
Oh, wow.
He is brilliant. And I actually get to talk to his community next week.
And he's such a good designer as well. Let me just say this as a snobbish.
He's too good. It makes me sick.
He
is brilliant.
He's worked with Nick Golick on his personal brand website, and it's amazing. But you know where Corey really comes in? I mean, really, when you think about brand design and digital marketing, as a typical client, you don't expect to see old-fashioned computer, like a relaxed-looking elk on an agency homepage. It is a total surprise. It totally draws you in because it's fun. People in companies, either bigger companies or small to medium-sized companies, they get bored. Show your sense of humor, and I think Corey does this so well. And when I show you the next slide, you'll be even more amazed because he does this so cleverly. Are you ready for the next slide?
Yep. Come on.
Excellent. Thank you, Lee. Okay, so can you see on the right-hand side his personal brand website? And it's a reverse, isn't it? It's so clever, and he's so personable. I'm your new best friend. Lots and lots of tools he uses to really make himself approachable. Because if you think about it, your agency website is like a conversation opener. So make it fun, give people something to talk about. If I was a client, I'd be immediately saying to Corey, "Oh, Corey, I love emojis too. What made you think of that? Or how did you come up with the elk?"
So I quite like the contrasting brands as well. Like they're kind of a negative image of each other. Is that right, Peter? Am I saying the right thing?
Side.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I got the nod.
Is it Peter? Yeah, is it excellent?
I confess that I used to use Corey's website as an inspiration. And often I look at his when I'm doing a talk or a course or a design course, and I want inspiration and I want to find good examples, I go to his site to check out his clients. It's just so easy. So yeah,
absolutely. I came across Corey on actually Lee's podcast, Agency Trailblazer, and I thought, my God, I can't believe I didn't see this nice guy, talented guy beforehand. And yeah, he's just a really textbook example for personal branding. And for Corey, he basically says his prospective clients, so he works a lot with land development companies, that's his niche. By the time they get in touch, they've seen his website, they've read his content, and they already kind of know it's him they want to work with. So when he sends proposal documents, he's kind of competing against himself as opposed to lots of other agencies. And that's really such a huge business case for personal branding. When you stand out, you get noticed by the right people. Okay, another example here, the lovely Chantal. Now, if you haven't come across Chantal yet, I can never quite pronounce her lovely surname.
Okay, it's Chantal Marie-Laurence Edouard Betsy.
Oh, amazing. But
Thank
you know
Chantal.
what a personal power branding house. So Chantal is based in South Africa. Quite a few years ago, she came up with this concept in collaboration with some other people about building a website in one day. Now she works with female business owners, and look how cleverly she does this. She already on the right-hand side, she shows you exactly, if you work with her, this is the transformation you are going to achieve with your business. You know, you can actually work and still have time for your work-life balance. Brilliant.
The brand has gone on so much since I interviewed her those years ago. Phenomenal.
You know, and you are on her featured section. Actually, I think she's really proud of that. Of that, and I think it's so important as web designers. If you have podcasts and all of these things, put it on your homepage. People want to have that social proof. But you know, Chantal said to me that so she used to work locally, and she totally changed her concept and she totally changed her pricing, which meant, you know, she couldn't really work with her original clients, and that was the whole point actually. But the minute she came up with her personal brand, this is when she got the new inquiries at the right level. So it's so worth doing it. And you know, she did it with a coach at the time because no one really wants to work on that personal brand. But what an amazing business builder! I will definitely say check her out. I'm really impressed by her. Then who we got here? It's the lovely Jan, and the reason I put Jan on there.
That's such a cute picture, Ebo. Look at you both smiling.
We had an amazing time with the audience.
Smile during the session, so
it was one of these classic things. Nicole was being very organized in German, brought along all her notes to when we ended up talking about different questions.
And Jan was the opposite and just wiped it all out in the pre-chat before the interview. Yeah,
and this is why we're laughing so much in this photo. And generally, this is what happened. We had an amazing time, and I hope your audience loved it, Jan. But what I love about this picture, look at Jan's video background. You know, at times when we all on Zoom meeting, we all virtually, you got to use absolutely everything you got. So he's got lots and lots of talking points on there. Please don't ask me to name them all, but this is what personal branding is about. Be yourself. If you have certain passions, certain interests, use them visually, because, you know, this is about building that bridge with your audience. It's about making you memorable and making it easier for them to get in touch, because that's essentially what we want. So Jan, super well done. And I can't wait to see all of it from you.
Thank you so much.
Another UK-based example. This is one of the final examples. Absolutely stunning. So it's the London web girl. She absolutely nails it on Instagram. Oh my God, Lee, you have got to look at her site. And, you know, I got to speak to her as well. She's like the loveliest lady as well. She shares a lot about her story. There's, you know, she kind of shows on her website what she can bring to her clients' businesses, right? This is just so beautiful picture. I'm sure you would agree with it. Look at this. This is her about her page. And what I love about it, you know, dive a little deeper. So she changes her hair a lot. You know, I did tell you, you can lean into the things which make you different. She loves a cocktail, but, you know, you will also see she had done some amazing work for some amazing companies, and she's met prime ministers. Honestly, what an inspiration. So it does show you can be fun and you can be totally yourself. The more you do that, the stronger your personal brand is, the more people will recognize you. Because, you know, as a female business builder, you look at that site and you think, my God, I want her to build mine. It's that good. So I would definitely say, check that one out. And Lee, perhaps
I want her to build mine when I'm not female. It looks awesome. Right? It's really fun. I love it.
Honestly, this is just a small snapshot. You should see her on Instagram. She's so good on social media. Lee, if you wish, please put her link on the comments. Now, if you want to see more of these agency owners that shine, small platform, my amazing YouTube channel there. I share tips for agency owners every second Monday. So check out this vlog as well. Agency owners that shine. So now you might be thinking, oh gosh, Nicole, this sounds all really, really good. But you used a lot of words. Where do I actually get started? And, you know, Jan and I, we're both Germans. We like to make things actionable and achievable. And a great place when you think about how you want to be perceived by your audience, by your dream clients, is actually to think about how you don't want to come across. I like to call that your anti-version, and I'm going to explain that to you a little bit in a moment. So, you know, our Lee, he has got a great personal brand. You know, he's been so consistent in building his audience and building his podcast download. I think, Lee, is it something like 12,000 downloads? Something along those lines a month? It's amazing.
Something ridiculous. Yeah.
It's amazing, right? And look, this is your LinkedIn profile. I looked at it recently for the blog, and everything in the colors is so super consistent. And often personal branding is about thinking about how you want to come across and then using all the tools you possibly can. So this is Lee, and you all know Lee, really nice guy. This is what I imagine his anti-version would be like. And it's actually, this
Jason
is
Statham, cellular.
Right,
That's
Lee,
what it looks like.
This version of you'd be so busy, you would never talk about your family life.
You actually look like I'm ordering a hit.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Your Lamborghini is sitting around the corner. This is all you care about. You would never, ever make a dad joke. You would never even let on that you're a family guy because it's just not cool enough. So this is your anti-version for
That's
both
a Galaxy
of us
S2, if
who know
anyone's
you,
interested.
right?
Yep.
You're not like that at all. You often talk about being a dad. You show pictures of you and your son, of your beautiful family, and your community and your prospective clients, I would imagine, for Events Engine really, really relate to that, because let's face it, organizing events can be stressful.
Very.
So, if there's a nice guy who will be holding hands and who you show how you can fix things and make it run all smoothly. So this is Lee's anti-version. What I encourage everyone to do is come up with your own pen portrait for your anti-version. It really helps in kicking off your
What's really
journey.
interesting about this, guys, is that I created this guy because I thought that's what my target audience wanted. So that was not me, but I thought I had to do that. And I was just saying to Tim, my business partner, this morning, when we were writing some new copy for our website and we were having a laugh about it, I said to him, do you remember when I used to tell you off for doing this? Because I thought we had to be professional. Hey, I've learned. Anyway.
Such a good point, because often this is why people end up being really boring on social media and their digital channels, because the pressure of being so professional.
Exactly.
But no one wants that level of professional. We want real people. So now I'm glad we got this picture, and thank you for not minding that I shared again and again. So how do you discover your anti-version? So Lee and I, we had a chat about this recently on Instagram. If you want to see the live play, it was actually, Lee, one of your growth tips was to establish your identity. And I always say, start with your anti-version. What would your nightmare clients look like, talk like? What would they behave like? What are your red flags? What was your worst boss ever like? Because many of us, we set up our business perhaps after working in a company. What qualities put you off in people? Write answers to these, and here's just a few more. What's the opposite of what you believe in? What TV personalities can you not stand? And how do you not want to come across? And this is me on the right-hand side. I never smile. I never make a joke about anything German, and I absolutely know best all the time. Hopefully for those of you who know me, this is so not me. But this always reminds me when I create my content, this is not how I want to come across. Right.
I think I'd actually be a bit scared of you, to be honest. I'd look at that picture and I'd think that I wouldn't want to disagree with anything you said.
Well, Lee, it's a good point you're making, because at the time the picture was taken, I was working at the Institute of Directors. I was in charge of the international markets, bringing in new clients, head of development, global partnerships, blah, long name. And I wanted to be a bit scary because it was a very male-driven environment. I wanted to have that, don't mess with me look.
Yeah.
Glad it was working.
Which would not rock with Wonder Stars, would it?
Not so much. So you can see you can evolve over time, right?
Yeah,
Totally evolve over time. Someone else very quickly who evolved so nicely over time, you had her as one of your guests, Kim Doyle. She used to be the WordPress chick, and now she's all about the content queen. And you can totally do that. As you evolve, your personal brand can evolve. So, Lee, how are we doing with the timing? Because if it's one thing I haven't got in front of me.
You're all good. Keep going.
Standout stories. Are you ready for this? Now, I was really brave. I shared my David Hasselhoff story. That can be scary. You might think I'm mad. But I tell you what, when you use stories, it makes you memorable. It creates always beautiful chemicals in our brains, which positivity, I can't pronounce them today. It's too hot, but Google it. Stories really, really work. But you might say, Nicole, stories, where do I start? So I have got just a practical tool for you. So, because what you want to do on your social media, you do not want to be invisible and hide away like this guy with his really bad mustache. You just really don't want to do that. You want to be visible, you and your team. You don't want to be boring. Lee just said how it was so professional when she had to work with Tim at the time. It was just too professional. You need to be more relaxed. So don't be vanilla. I actually quite like vanilla ice cream. Bring out your stories. I mean, look at what this guy is wearing. Isn't that interesting? I want to know what this is about. Don't be afraid of highlighting things you're passionate about, because we are working with real people. And, look at Peter's setup. I can't see it right now, but I always love all the beautiful plant pots she has and beautiful glasses, because Peter, obviously you have really good green fingers, right?
Yes, this place is particularly good because it's got humidity. Yeah, they're happy here, very happy. Yeah,
and they look happy, and it's really memorable. So it's certainly something you could use in your stories story sharing.
Yeah.
Now, Jan, you have all the Star Wars memorabilia, everything Marvel in the background. That's a really good talking point. I mean, Lee has his amazing pens, his baseball caps. Where do I even start? But this picture is here just to remind you, it's okay to be yourself. Don't be afraid of letting down those professional barriers and just show the real you. So, how do you find the story center to really show the real you? There's a lovely gentleman on this call who one day let me loose in his beautiful community for a 5-day challenge. We actually did the Wunderstars CUPCAKES story finder exercise, and I love CUPCAKES so much, I kept the branding. But here I'm showing on the last day of the challenge. I think Lee couldn't be there, and we had obviously the lovely David Foy, Mike Killen, great sales guru, talking about how we use our stories in selling. And Dave has actually taken it to the extreme. He's done an amazing job. You've got to go to his page and check out how he has shared his story, because it really draws you in as the audience. He's helping other people create online training. So,
folks, I'm putting links into everything that you're talking about as you talk about it. So it's all in the comments.
I really appreciate that, Lee.
No worries.
I really do. I'm a bit hot now. So first step, you need to walk in the shoes of your audience. You need to imagine what would resonate with them. And I'll give you an example. So one of my agency clients, this wasn't his first business, it's actually his second business. But when you hear that he sets out to help startup companies, that's a really powerful story to share, because people like to learn from someone's successes and failures. That's really, really interesting. Do you know, I put Dave on the screen here because his anti-version was sort of douchey Dave. So douchey Dave would never talk about his upbringing. He would just be perfect. And he's totally turned it around by thinking, I don't want to be like douchey Dave. I'm going to be exactly different. And he's done an amazing job. Check out that link. It's the best story ever. I've read it several times, and it's still, I get goosebumps. That's the kind of story.
It's got some really cool pictures in there as well of him being a school teacher. I think I had a little cry at one point. It's a great story. Yeah, it's
really powerful, and how much of him being brave it took. But we went through the story finder exercise, and we came up, look, this would really resonate with your audience, because we all have to start somewhere, and he really shares his journey. So that's the first step, walk in my shoes. Then you want to really reflect on what makes you what makes you quirky. So I said earlier, I have a German accent. I really can't hide it. I have a silly sense of humor. I can't hide it, so I'm using it. Also, you want to know what's your why. What are your successes and failures? I said that before. With your why, Lee talks about having a family. Jan does the same. You have a relatively young child, and I would imagine many of your clients are faced with the same challenges. When you don't have enough sleep, you have to do your work. So it's okay to talk about it. Peter, I want to hear from you why you always have the best pair of glasses and the best plans. So that's your second step. Reflect on what makes you and really jot that down, whether you put this into ClickUp or you put it onto Post-it notes, onto a whiteboard. Whatever works for you, make it happen. And then the third step, so you have all these stories now, all these options, and that's great already that you have these. Then think about, okay, so all the storytelling you do in your time outside the office, what really resonates with your friends? Because most likely those are the kind of stories which will resonate with your audience. I remember when I started working in the UK, I was very young back then, but people always wanted to hear about my stories from growing up in Eastern Germany, because to me, it might have been the most normal thing, but to them, it was something really, really special. So I'm sure you have something like this in your background where you take it for granted because you don't know anything else, but actually it's a really good story. So you work out what are the best stories, what really resonates with your dream clients, test it out, have some informal chats, and then pick the ones which are best to share, because I think this is a really important step here. I'm not encouraging you to share everything. Be really, really selective what makes you look in a good way. And also what your family is happy with you to share. So in the fourth step here, the final step, check in with your family. Are you happy for me to talk about this? I know I had these conversations with my mum, with my dad, with my husband, because I do talk about them and I want them to be happy about it. Once you have all of these selected, you have your cupcakes to take to the party. Sorry, I do like talking about cakes. I don't let myself eat enough. And then practice in really supportive communities. Practice on the Cloudways page, practice in GoWP, practice in Lee's community. Wherever you are, just do it.
Copyright Nike. Sorry.
Break now.
This is so cool, though. It already makes me want to draw up a Notion document and collect all my own stories, because it's just so handy. I never thought about having that one database of stories. I just share them as they come to mind. But if you have them ready, then your team could also share them. So it's
absolutely
disconnecting you from doing the busy work.
Yeah, and you can use it in your email marketing everywhere. And I went through the steps with many people, and most recently with Imogen. And Imogen has got a love for chicken. So she can talk about that now because it makes her different. So yeah, no, Jan, a really brilliant point on that one. So just a very brief example, LinkedIn, I'm very passionate about LinkedIn, even though it isn't my favorite platform. But Carl, one of my clients, so I want you to see that line, yes, I do own 15 guitars. He's also been in working with SME since 2014. But what a nice bit of story sharing on his LinkedIn headline. When someone gets in touch with him who also is into music, guitars, it's so much easier to talk about it. So there's so many places you can use your stories. So just very broadly about social media, I believe, it's one of your best tools to really show you understand your dream clients, the challenges they face, the questions they have. You can really show them how you solve them better than anyone else. You can show your own personality, your agency team. Wow, fancy that. Even when it's just you, show that and really give an insight to the culture, how you make things happen. You can share your story and your why, and also your take on industry trends, really showing off your expertise. And if you do that consistently, your personal branding and your expertise will shine through, and you can actually really have some fun with it. And the next few slides.
Well, a good little example of that is in the events industry right now. There are a lot of event companies who are hurting. And what I'm doing is I'm in the events industry with my other business. I'm actually sharing my opinion as to whether I think virtual events are going to be the forever future, or whether hybrid events will be around, or whether or not I think physical is better than virtual, etc. There's tons of conversations going on, and that's helping build my own personal brand in the events industry. For years, I've hidden behind the brand of the business. So we've always been known as Event Engine. And over the last year and a half, I've been slowly venturing out and actually sharing the personality that I've so freely shared with agency owners for the last 6 years, but never done it really in the event space. I've only ever relied on the fact that we know people who move from event company to event company. So we've grown through that kind of, the poor staff retention within the events industry has been a benefit to us. Yeah. But it's also not the best way to grow a business, because we're relying on people moving around. So I recognize, I got to show up, I got to show my personality, share an opinion that sometimes may or may not be unpopular, but it will certainly attract the right people. Sorry, carry on.
Amazing point. Because, particularly you being an event organizer, both in a physical and virtual space, you have so much to share about. And, Brent always talks about having 7 pillars to your marketing. So, referrals are obviously really, really important. Having SEO and all of that. Add social media to it is such a huge tool, in particular platforms like LinkedIn, where you can really get noticed quite quickly. And I know Tracy shared lots and lots of tips to refer back to her sessions as well. I know PJ has been working with her, and they've been doing an amazing job. Okay, but I want to give you some more detail on this so that you actually have some real practical ones, some practical ideas. Now, engaging sales content, what shows off what you can do so well in a non-douchey way, right? Because everyone can smell a sales post like 1,000 miles away. Amen. So here's an example. Sorry, it's another picture of myself when I was looking a bit fresher. When you've just come up with a new brand for your client, why not show their original branding? Did you use a brand questionnaire? Perhaps, you don't have to show the whole thing, but could you talk about it in your social media? There were different logo versions. Oh my God, everyone likes to vote on a different logo version. Did you have like a client reveal session and a testimonial? And someone who did this really well was actually Design Box, who Lee has spoken to on their podcast as well. My original branding here on the left, the new work they've done. They also shared some pictures about the client reveal and the whole journey. So that's some really easy content for you, because most projects you work on mean a visual transformation. So capture the milestones. One of my favorites, absolute favorites, is easy behind the scenes stories. What do I mean by that? I want you to show how you make your work happen, because that really makes interesting social media content. That makes you really, really real. And it could be things like agency growth stories, so you can introduce your team members, or if it's just you, introduce yourself. What do you like doing when you're not working? Show what makes your team members and you interesting. Perhaps
I think I can see Tom doing his own stock photography on that picture, on that thumbnail.
But isn't that good? Isn't that good? Because the worst thing I see across many agency websites, and I talk about this a lot, is stock photos.
Yes.
Oh,
that's actually Tom, who actually owns Design Box.
Yeah. At the moment, his hair's a bit longer, and it's his team. It's Leah, his partner, and Emily, great colleagues. So you have lots of potential of learning how to use great selfies on your About Us page. I think that's on the About Us page. It's a really powerful one. So you show what makes you different. You show your office space, how you got started. People love those stories. Here's an example where I had Emily there for 3 years, really lovely lady. You know, they had a pizza with the team. I actually know the whole agency team. And they just shared that on LinkedIn, you know, the platform where we all think it's got to be so formal, but people want to see your agency having fun. And it's actually was socially distanced. And the guy with a baseball cap, just by the way, awesome designer, Mark, he designed my whole Wunderstars branding. So we've got to bring it back to you, though. This is the scary bit about raising your visibility. Are you ready? You are the star of your show, whether it's you and your company or you the team. You know, your values will define how the agency behaves, what the culture is like. So bring yourself to the forefront, even just a little bit, you know, your journey, what you do when you're not working. I know, Lee, you like going to Disney when you can, right?
All
so
the
sometimes
time.
This is how I remember you, like with a big Disney mark. You know, we can
dropped
share
that the other day. I was heartbroken.
Oh, right. Nicole makes a list of herself, what to send to Lee. Excellently. Don't buy one. You know, you're learning from events like today. Like, I would be so chuffed if you shared a little bit about today, and particularly why you set up your business. Everyone loves to know that. And someone who does it really, really well is the Jammy Digital team, you know, Martin and Lindsay. Amazing. And I think they were probably a bit shy in the beginning about talking about themselves, but they pushed themselves through that fear barrier. And
Martin will always be one of my man crushes. I think he's awesome.
Oh, he's amazing, right? And like the first time I really got to hang out with him was actually at your event. He was just brilliant. And his wife, what a content marketing guru.
Lovely, them too. Yeah.
Guys, if you haven't got their book yet, you've got to get it. And I don't want to make a lot of noise, otherwise I'll bring it in from a video wall, but you've got to get their book. It's amazing. The Content Fortress. So if Martin and Lindsay can do it, everyone on this planet, you guys can do it too. Just very briefly, you know, this is how I share my story. So, you know, I have a mixed race child. He loves dinosaurs. I do personal training, not very well, but I do it. I bring around David Hasselhoff. My mum has been an amazing influence on how I run my business. So I talk about that, or I show pictures of my clients. And you can see none of it is highly stylized, right? This is real stuff. And this is what I would really encourage you to do. From your own agency, don't feel like it's got to always be like a video shot or photo shot. You can just post something on a beautiful iPhone, or if you have a Samsung, it's amazing. You have all the tools you have to start sharing your story.
That's actually something I saw Noah Kagan from AppSumo talk about recently. I think he deconstructed Mr. Beast's YouTube channel, and he said that Mr. Beast actively makes less quality videos or lower quality videos because he know they resonate better with his target audience. So that was just mind-blowing to me, and I think I have to pull out my old Samsung S7 or something.
Because you want to be perfectionist, right? But actually statistics show that people like the authentic self, right? And the real you. And yeah, completely. And I think that's so freeing. And particularly the year we've all been through. People work from home. Everyone does, you know, even like the big corporates, they have Zoom meetings. So it's even more acceptable. So, Jan, I can't wait to see you using that insight, actually. And I just, you know, we Hoff did his marketing so well. Look, we still got him on our main television, like all these years later. So the Hoff can do it, Jan can do it, Peter can do it, Lee's done it. You can go from Trabant to sports car. And here's just a couple of more tools to help you with this. Quick actions from today. Start with your anti-version. Have a pen pal of the anti-version. Honestly, build your agency owner brand to get more leads. It's okay to become more visible. It's not as scary as you might think, and you can start small. Lean into what makes you different. So if you have geeky hobbies, use it to your advantage. And just so that you can get a little bit more content inspiration, I've got a really handy freebie for you, which I'll show you in a moment. And also very briefly how you can work with me. So how you can work with me, I've launched my Wunderstars coaching program for digital agencies about 2 years ago. I first started out doing it all on a one-to-one basis, having lots of successes. You know, got Tom here, you got Imogen on there. Peter just said was really, really lovely testimonial. And the way I really work with people is to find out what holds them back, to find out where they currently want to go, and then break it down into a process of how we get there. I am very German. I have a lot of empathy. So I just wanted to give you my process. What are we currently doing? What are your goals? What needs to be done right next? Because let's face it, we think about our marketing and we get so overwhelmed, we don't know where to start. But I do have a real clear pathway for you in place. We break it into nice monthly actions, and then I help you to get it done. There's tons of accountability. But also empathy. A year ago, I also opened up a program on a group level. So we have the Wunder team. You can see a picture there in the right-hand corner. Once a month, we get together for a Wunderbar. You know, I had to get some drinking in there in the evening where we have a laugh. And the newest thing over the last year is Wonderworking, where twice a month we get together and we work together on Zoom to really help people to get things done. Because, we sit in front of a coach, we watch a webinar, we say, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then nothing happens.
Yeah.
In the Wonderworking session, things happen because it's twice a month and you make your marketing happen. So if you're not quite ready to consider that, get my free download here. These are 30 amazing content prompts. Will get you social media content ideas, which will sell and engage, will make you talk about your own agency, make you talk about your expertise. So you don't even have to think about it. You just have to answer the questions. It works really well. If you go and download it at this link, you will also get, as a follow-up in the email sequence, the Story Finder exercise. So all the questions I took you through earlier, the 4 different steps, I'll have some more prompting questions on that. And that will really allow you to build up that bank of story ideas, which Jan mentioned earlier, when you have a really handy database. So do get this. Plus, come and join me on my YouTube channel. This is where all my best tips are. Just spoke to Peter and Jan earlier. We're going to actually be featured in the next vlog when we talk about LinkedIn summary examples and what we can learn from their approach. It's going to be really cool. So come over on YouTube. This is the link. Every second Monday, you get some tips. This is me. All my details. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing now because I want to be able to take lots and lots of questions. Hang on.
Awesome.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I would just love, first of all, to thank you so much for sharing your story.
Good timing. She's so German. Look at that. I didn't have my clock out.
Perfect timing. 45 minutes on the dot. Now, one of the biggest things that stuck out to me through this is not to be afraid to show your personal brand. And I'm thinking here again of Tom. So Tom will be on the podcast tomorrow, episode 321, where he talks about his process of working with you. What's interesting with they went through with our own rebrand recently, Design Box Media. They changed it to Design Box. They've added, though, themselves. They've elevated the personal brand of, yes, the owner, Tom, but equally the personal brand of people who are in that. They've started to share more of how their agency works behind the scenes. It's all simple stuff. What you're sharing here is not the polished Ryan Dice or the big kind of busy Gary V stuff. Which is completely unattainable and stressful and horrible. What you're sharing here is the natural kind of outworking of what goes on within the business. So it's things you're already doing. I remember Tristan once mentioned, I think also Gary Vee says it, like document. So document what's going on rather than creating tons of stuff. So the documentation of Tom sharing the pizzas, and I was glad to see there was more than one pizza, because at first I thought he only had one and I was going to call him stingy. There were at least 3 pizzas in that picture. But it was a good selfie showing what was going on in their agency, that they were celebrating and they were honoring another team member. On their website, designbox.co.uk, I've had the privilege of looking over that multiple times this week because I've been getting ready for his episode. There are absolutely heaps of pictures of the people who are behind the scenes, including one of the dogs, which is absolutely adorable. But you can see here, this is the outworking of the brand. You don't have to, they're not shoving Tom's face everywhere and making everything about Tom. Tom is still, the leader, as it were, but it's clear that this is a happy team of people. So if you are an agency owner, be you solo or be you in a team, take a look at Nicole's website, take a look at some of the examples that Nicole has shared. I've put links to all of these in the comments, and take a look and see what can you pull from that. Rewatch this episode, grab those notes, have a look at the anti-version. I do encourage you, if you want that crib sheet, check out the 30 days of inspiration, and you will get, I believe you said, the checklist as well that you can work through. That'll help you to develop your story, etc. So go ahead and check that out. Now, Nicole, there is a couple of questions in for you, but before we do, I would like to give Cloudways a big shout out. Now, they have the agency partner program. If you apply, you can be a part of that. You can get some special benefits. I believe there are discounts. There's swag available. There is also a support group for your agency and tons of extra valuable content contributed by people like us and Nicole, etc. So be sure to check that out. And if your agency meets the criteria, you may be able to get in. So you can apply over on cloudways.com /agency. That will redirect
sorry
you.
to call you out, Lee, but I want to make sure that there's no confusion. It's cloudways.com/an/agency.
I actually tested it as well, and it redirected. But
I got a 404. I just tried to.
Is that because you're in Germany?
Probably, yeah.
We have to test things, right, to put them right.
Let's change. There you go. That's how fast I can be. Cloudways.com/en/agency. Be sure to see if your agency can be a part of the program. It's like a special club, and it's cool. Right. The question that came in, Nicole, is very much around what I was sharing with regards to Tom. And you apologized at one point for your picture, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry about my picture there, me looking a bit fresh and kind of downplaying it, etc." Do you still feel a bit awkward having your picture everywhere? Because I know a lot of people already do. They don't want to put themselves front and center. How do you experience seeing your mush everywhere?
I sometimes find it exhausting. I have also learned that as a marketing coach, I have to walk the talk. So I always mix up that idiom, but I encourage my clients, my community to be more visible because I know it makes total business sense. So naturally, I can't hide away. I've been very selective about what I share. I went through the story finder exercise, and you can imagine your nationality is quite an easy thing to talk about. So yeah, I do find it exhausting that after this, I will go to sleep just because it's so hot. But, you know, I came to realize really early on, if you want to grow your business, and I've grown my business every year, you've got to tackle your fears. And if one of them is being visible, it is really worth overcoming it. You know, Peter, your beautiful virtual conference, what a success. Did you ever think you could do that? Were you really afraid of it? And you nailed it.
Oh,
you had so many positive things about it.
Thank you so much. That's so lovely of you to say that. Honestly, no. And for people that see us all the time, and I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I know my colleagues here enough to know that you're also introverted. I mean, Lee, you are for sure. And you've got social anxiety, and you've been really open about it as well. And I remember when Facebook Lives started being a thing, which was maybe 3-4 years ago. And I thought, that is absolutely impossible. Thank you, Lee. It's never going to happen. I'm never going to be able to do it because I can't stand listening to my voice again. Now, I am actually really, after the conference, I'm so tired of my own voice. But incredibly, I did it. And because I follow Jan Koch's wonderful method, I don't get people to pre-record their talk. They're all interviews that I lead. So, you know, by the end of the conference, you're like, oh, God, not me again. But that's the feeling, rather than I want to die and I will never be able to do this. In the end, you just do it. It becomes normal. You kind of get over yourself. You think, who do you think you are? Do you know what I mean? There is a little bit of that as well. Don't be so precious about yourself. It's fine, actually. No one minds. And I think that in a way, the lockdown and COVID have helped in that sense, because we have seen more and more people in their pajamas or not, you know what I mean? And people just not caring anymore. It's just not. So people are not that precious anymore. And the thing is that you can still have your own private space, your privacy, which I care a lot about. You can still preserve it. You can still keep it. It's your choice what you show and what you don't show. You don't know what the rest of this room looks like.
I can guess.
I love it.
Probably green.
It's actually that corner over there is wonderful. It's actually super tidy because I recently rejigged everything around, so it's actually good, but not always. So I would say that you would surprise it to anybody who's thinking, I can't do that. You would surprise yourself, and it's becoming more and more normal. So you would not, you're not gonna, you're gonna be normal.
I think what's also important to realize is you are the only one who sees all that content in such a condensed format.
That's a good
point. When you're spreading it out on social, nobody sees all the posts that you are sharing because of the organic reach going down so much.
Absolutely.
Unless you're friends, and then I see everything. And I think Nicole sees everything I post as well.
I totally do.
We comment and like each other's stuff all the time.
Do you know, as a coach, I always encourage people just to take small steps. And usually they get a success, and that's an encourages them to take the next step. So, you know, particularly Tom Lee, you mentioned Tom. He really doesn't like posting pictures of himself or office. But look where he's now, and he's seen the successes. He knows he's gotten invited to pitches because he does, because it makes him look different. Because in an industry where a lot of people have tech images everywhere and no team member inside, it really stands out in a good way, right? It's such an opportunity to really power up your marketing. So I'm really proud of what Tom has done.
No, that's awesome. It just segues into, just segue into a quick question, Peter. Is team members, because obviously Tom's got a larger team, and there are a lot of agencies who will be watching. Who, if you do have a large team, you will probably be able to join the agency partner program. Just to let you know, it's pinned in the comments. But how would you recommend people deal with staff members that, for personal reasons, etc., just don't want to engage in things like the photography, etc.?
Yeah, I think you will always have people who feel as strongly as that, and I think that comes to a point where you shouldn't push water up a hill. I think pick your champions. When I work with teams, we figure out really early on who's willing to help, because they will contribute some ideas, and when we work out the practical processes like idea generation, sign off, posting. So I think just be realistic. If someone absolutely hates it, you're not going to add to their day by making them do it, right? But I think for you as a business owner, I honestly don't think you have that choice. You've got to overcome your fears and just do something, because if it's an opportunity for your agency to get better clients and to get invited to great pitches, do it.
Pick your champions. That's a really good one-liner.
Pick your champions,
Yeah,
Peter, and Tom has done that with his team.
Yeah, so just one thing. So thank you for mentioning the conference, Nicole. But one thing that came to my mind as I was listening to you is what you said about the fact that if you put yourself out there in the right way, then your clients, your ideal clients, will know who you are already, and there will be no sales pitch. They will just go for you because they know you already. And that's something that came up because we had one day at the conference that was all about content, and we had Andrea Zolna from Kinsta, who was explaining how to create a content strategy, and she was saying exactly that. And I mean, really, that's also what Cloudways do a little bit, where you're not selling at all. You're just telling people what you do and teaching them stuff as you do that. Therefore, when they come to you, they know already whether you're a fit or not. And there were quite a few people in the audience at the conference that were saying, yes, that's why I went for Kinsta, or also saying, yes, I know that's how I sell. So I think, to me, that's the strongest argument. And I mean, you could go then into why create content, and that's why you do it. It's amazing, isn't it? If people, when they get in touch, they're already like, actually, it happened to me today. Someone got in touch saying, oh, I've seen you talk about a course in what I thought was a Facebook Live, and it wasn't, but can I have the course? And I was like, yeah, all right. Because do you know what I mean? So do it, people, is what I mean.
And watch, Kim Doyle says, she had the lovely Kim on here, and she says essentially, everything is a content opportunity, right? When you have Jan, who essentially says, build relationships before you need them. And if you put all of that together with your personal brand and community building, it's really powerful for your business as a way to grow and get noticed by your dream clients. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, guys, unfortunately, we have pretty much hit the end of the time that we have available. I think the biggest, Nicole will be happy because she's about to melt. The biggest takeaway I've gotten from this is actually pick your champions. I think that's real wise. You as the agency owner, Peter pointed out that you're going to have to stand up if you want to develop some form of personal brand. We kind of have no choice as the owner. But if you are a team member or you have team members, consider who the champions might be. The design box example we've used quite a few times. They're lucky they have a real good solid team of, I think they're all champions for the brand, and that's phenomenal. Oh, that sounds bad. In a good way. Pick the champions who will enjoy representing your brand. And that's that's a few personal brands, as it were. Each person has their own unique identity, but all of that kind of meshes together to create an attractive company to work for. Check out designbox.co.uk as well, just for their rebrand, and their episode will go live on Agency Trailblazers tomorrow, where they kind of talk about the experience that Nicole talked about last week of her actual rebrand, which was absolutely phenomenal. Don't forget as well, folks, this is the correct link to go and see if you can be a part of the awesome agency partnership program. You can check out the Wunderstars YouTube channel on youtube.com/Nicole Osborne Wunderstars, or just go and click in the comments because I've already put it in there. Don't forget, you can get access to 30 days of content inspiration and a checklist. You can find out more about Nicole over on wonderstars.com. We mentioned also Peach's event. Let's just throw that one in there again. Design for Conversions. We will be putting all of our links as well in the comments. Be sure to check out the VSM method. We've talked about events quite a few times during this. So, Jan, I think it's worth you popping your link in for people to check how they could run their own summits, just like Peach did. So that would be phenomenal.
Point, yeah.
And before we go,
summitmasterclass.com.
Excellent. Go check that one out because there are some phenomenal
He's got a
advice
webinar next week.
And before we all go, let's each share how you can connect with us, and then we'll do our lovely wave goodbye. Let's start with Nicole. How can we connect with you?
Would love you to connect with me on Instagram. So @Wunderstars_.
Nice
I
and
share
easy.
reels on there, videos, hopefully useful posts. So come and see me on Instagram in addition to YouTube.
Picture, how can we connect with you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn, Peachanary, just easy, and on Twitter, Peacha. I'm a lurker on Twitter, but I am there.
Jan, yourself.
LinkedIn is the best place nowadays. I am Jan Koch.
Nice. And then with me, agencytrailblazer.com. Don't forget, if you're interested in the partnership, cloudways.com. I'm just trying to make it sound very mysterious.
It's so worth it, though.
I know it is. The stuff that goes on in there that I've heard, the stories sound amazing. Trying to make it sound all mysterious so that people go check it out. But seriously, go check it out. There is some cool stuff going on in there. Thank you, everybody. Nicole, thank you again for sharing all of that value and for inspiring us to find our champions, inspiring us to find the champion inside of ourselves and to step up and attract those dream clients that would love to work with us. And on that note, I think we should all wave goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.